Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor, bringing you another video on how to raise your vibration so you can live your best life. Third time's a charm on this one. It's a rough start. So let's talk today about why people do the things they do. Why do people behave the way they do? Why do people seemingly make choices that we just can't quite understand? But before we do, I want to remind you the doors to the New Earth Construction Team community are open. We would love to welcome you with open arms. Not only will we help you move through the blocks that hold you back so you can step into your life purpose and manifest abundance through it, helping to create the new earth, but also we will have fun together. We will play, we will create, you will join groups of people who are just like you. If you want to learn more about tarot card reading, if you're a musician and want to collaborate, if you're an engineer and you want to work with an architect, you will find what you need in our community. That is our goal, is to create a safe place for creation. So, but before we do, and of course, I should say you would be a founding member. We are just getting started. We would love to welcome you in, and you can be grandfathered in at the low cost that we are offering today, as long as you join us today as a founding member. Okay, so let's talk about, why do people do the things that they do? Why do people do the things that they do? At the end of the day, and I did a video on this recently, so if you want to know more about that, just do a quick search about what we talk about here, and you'll find another video on it. But primarily, and we'll just keep that short, the reason why is because people are trying to survive. Everything a person does comes from a desire to pursue happiness and to survive, and even to move from striving to thriving. So know that every single thing that a person does in their mind is done for a good reason. And the bigger challenge here, the bigger issue that I really wanted to address, is that people do not trust themselves, and people do not trust the world that they live in. That we are working through an epidemic globally of the unworthiness wound, the not enoughness wound, the lack mentality, complex trauma, whatever you want to call it. If you didn't feel safe, seen, heard, cared for, or loved for an extended period of time, you are likely dealing with some sort of version of programming or conditioning that has caused you to believe the world is not safe, you're not enough, there is not enough resources, or that other people are unsafe, right? So how do we heal this? How do we get from where we are to where we're trying to go? And the challenge is this is a trauma that is self-perpetuating, right? There's generational trauma at play here because hurt people hurt people. So everything a person does comes from a desire to survive, to thrive, to be happy. And in their minds, the things they do are the in their mind, it is the most resourceful method that they can come up with to meet a need, right? So everything they do is meeting a need that they feel is critical to their survival. And so because they don't trust themselves, because they don't trust the world around them, they don't trust that there's going to be enough resources, they don't trust in some sort of greater power at play, greater consciousness in charge, they come from a deep-seated place of fear. And so the way to heal this, the way I see it working in my work and others who also work with somatic trauma therapies, is that there has to be a new found level of trust. So when I use brain spotting to facilitate healing around those wounds of not feeling safe, seen, heard, cared for, loved, maybe it's the fear of judgment, the fear of rejection, the fear of being seen, the fear of abandonment, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment. Maybe we're overgiving, we're people pleasing, we're self-sacrificing, we're drained and exhausted because we have no more energy to keep giving the way we have been giving. And yet we have this dream, this desire to do something that matters. And it's sort of this tug of war between the battle of the brains, right? The prefrontal cortex that says, I know I need to do these things to be able to be successful or to accomplish what I want to do in my life. And yet the limbic brain says it's not safe, we can't go there. you can't do those things, you'll be judged, you'll be rejected, you'll be criticized. And so we tend to, the limbic brain always wins. And so we tend to shrink back and play small and hide. And again, all of this is coming from a desire to survive and thrive, a desire to stay safe and to be happy. It is all driven by a lack of trust in ourselves, a lack of trust in others, and a lack of trust in the greater plan at hand. It is a very interesting, complex conversation that is resolved by a very simple solution. In fact, they say that the answer is right underneath our nose. It's a common phrase, right? That we overcomplicate things. We feel it's complex, and in that complexity, we overthink, we overdo, we overtry, we struggle, we strain. And yet, the answer to everything that we seek and every problem that we encounter is stillness. Trust in the stillness. Trust in yourself. Trust in the divine. Trust in your brother or sister. Trust in the other, even if they are making mistakes. Relentless trust. It could also pair with surrender. That another common trauma response is the need to control, that hypervigilance, to keep everything under control. It's all up to me. I got to do it all myself. I'm alone in this. I got to carry the weight of the world. I got to boil the ocean. I got to solve all the problems because we don't trust. Because we don't trust it will work out for us. We don't trust ourselves to be able to receive the guidance. We don't trust that the divine is going to deliver all of the guidance that we need, because it seems like we need guidance for 50 things, but really 49 of them have been handled. You only needed guidance to take the next right step, and then that 50th thing would be handled too. There's a couple critical keywords in this entire conversation, the entire game called life. Some go-to strategies that can be boiled down into single words: trust, surrender, safety, non-judgment, and love. Because if you can trust yourself, even if you made a mistake in the past, even if the decision you made this morning was the wrong one, you keep coming back to trusting yourself. You will start to uncover the part of you that you can trust. The part of you that made that mistake this morning or yesterday or last year or 10 years ago was coming from a wounded place. It was coming from survival. It was coming from fight or flight. The decision was made because you didn't trust yourself. The decision was made because you didn't trust the other, because you didn't trust the divine, because you saw plenty of evidence up until that point in your life that you were not safe. But as we move into deep levels of commitment to trusting ourselves, we rediscover the part of us that we can trust. We rediscover our connection to source. We rediscover our connection to guidance that we can trust. We start to see the other person on the other side of the table, of the situation, of the relationship, in their true core nature, without their trauma responses. And we can love them for who they were designed to be instead of who they've become due to their trauma responses. And when we observe an atom, it shifts and changes. So then we can start to see the part of them that we can trust. it's interesting because we want to say that someone has to earn our trust first, and then we will trust them. But this game called life is pretty counterintuitive. We thought we accelerate by pushing on the gas. We actually don't. We thought that we learn to trust by being proven first trustworthy. But we don't. Trust comes first. And with that will come surrender, non-judgment, compassion, love, happiness, fulfillment, peace, stillness, joy, abundance, safety. So can you trust yourself? Can you create relationships in which others can trust you? Can you offer others safely? Of course, we're not being naive. We're not being silly. We're not putting our neck out on a chopping block. We're not dropping our kids off in the middle of an unsafe neighborhood alone. That's ridiculous. But there are situations and there are relationships where if you gave them a little bit of trust, you would open up to so much more that they have to offer. That goes for yourself as well as the other. That when you use your strength and your stubbornness and your ability to be relentless in a way that serves the other, we use that to hold a safe space. We use that to hold a place where we can be trusted, where they can exercise trust. We use that to create a safe place. Safety is the key here. Because when you feel safe, then you trust. So when we move through life and we are constantly judging others, criticizing others, we're in resistance to who they are and what they need and what they said and what they did. We're creating nothing but pain for ourselves, and we're creating a hostile environment for them. They can feel that energy, whether they know it or not. But when we refuse to judge, we insist on compassionate understanding. We seek the reason that they might be doing the thing that they're doing, understanding that it is coming from a desire to survive, to be loved, to be safe. We start to create that safe place for them where they can trust you and you can trust them. That one of the biggest problems that we face in the world today is a lack of trust in each other because we assume they are not trustworthy. And you will get what you assume. Many people are driven by greed, and that is driven by an assumption that there's not enough, that they cannot trust the divine or themselves to generate what they need. There is no law in the book of universal laws that says there's finite resources. There's not. We are creators. So that the person who is driven by greed and a lack of trust in the divine and themselves and others perpetuates the cycle. So we make this stop by refusing to perpetuate the cycle. By insisting stubbornly, there is enough. And I am supported, and I am cared for, and I will have everything I need abundantly. Abundance chases me down. I am overflowing. I have more than enough and plenty to give. I trust in my ability to receive that, and I trust in my relationship with the divine to give that? So can you start to move into higher levels of trust? Carefully, safely, wisely, responsibly. But know that that is your key. That is the next step. And we have not seen the sun in 5 days or more, might be 7 days. So I'm going to end this video now so I can go stare into the sun. All right. I love you, my friends. I will see you on the next video. Take care. Namaste.